Alright, hello everyone and welcome back. In this video we're going to talk about a very important question, and that question is, what is a function? That idea of a function, this concept, this object in mathematics is kind of the foundation of all the conversations we're going to have going forward here. So what is a function? Now what is a function in the real world? That's always a good place to start, right? The real world. Well, a function, as we know it, is maybe something we think of it as more of a verb, right? Something functions, right? Usually we think about machinery or technology, right? A car functions properly when gas is put in and it drives. Or a computer functions properly when the battery is charged and there's electricity running to it. Or we put in a keystroke and it performs some kind of functionality. So, what is a function? And how does it apply to mathematics? Well, the idea is, very simply, all of the machinery that we talk about, all of the technology that we talk about, there's an input, whether that be gas, whether that be electricity, whether that be keystrokes, whether that be ingredients in a recipe. All of these functions have an input. We put something in, and then there's a result or an output. We put something in, we get something out. There's an input and there's an output. In mathematics, it's the same exact principle. Except instead of talking about gas or electricity or ingredients, what we're talking about is numbers. We put one number in, we get another number out. We put the one number in to a function, and the function exports an output. Now, how does that actually look? Well, it's actually something that we've seen before. What we talk about are points, x and y values. Okay? What we call x is the independent variable. It is independent of everything else. We pick it. Okay? It can stand on its own. Y is the dependent variable because it depends on the x. It depends on the independent variable. Another way we want to look at it is input for x and output for y. In other words, the x values that we use in these ordered pairs give us the y values. Now, where have we seen this before? Take a look at something that looks like this. Y equals 1/2 x plus 4. This is the equation of a line. We've seen it 1,000 times. But look what it has. It has an x value, and it has a y value. We can see that these variables are related to one another. They're in a relationship with one another. They form a point. All of the x and y values that satisfy this relationship, meaning that this y value is equal to half of the x value plus 4. I'm sure you could think of a bunch of numbers that when you cut it in half and add 4 to it, you get another number. For example, if I said x was 4, half of 4 is 2, plus 4 more makes 6. So if y is 6 and x is 4, that's a point. More importantly, think about the order in which I presented that initially. I said, if x is 4, what is y? If x is 4, then y is 6. X was the input, that's why it comes first in the ordered pair, and y is the output. It's easier to see this if we build a table, x and y. If we say 4, we get an output of 6. If I put in an input of 0, and I replace x with 0, 1/2 goes away. 0 plus 4 is 4, so y is 4. So I could build a table of all of these values, where if I put in an input, I get an output. This, at its core, is a function. There is an input, an independent variable, and an output, a dependent variable, x and y. And they're constructed using these relationships that we've seen before, namely equations. Equations are those functions that we're talking about. Equations that we've seen, that we've used, are our functions. Another way that we like to express them now, instead of simply saying y equals 1/2 x plus 4, this is equivalent to the function notation, which would say f of x is equal to 1/2 x plus 4. F of x, this notation here meaning a function of x, is defined by 1/2 that input x plus 4. All of the outputs are generated by splitting the number in half and adding 4 to it. F of x is equal to 1/2 x plus 4. F of x is equal to x squared. F of x is equal to whatever. That is how we can define functions, as the relationship between two variables, one of which is the input, the other is the output. So guys, this is functions. Check back in for more examples. I'll see you next time.